Ooh la la. Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be such a fun one. We are talking about my A-list makeup packaging. These are the products within my collection that have the best, the most elite and premier packaging. You guys probably know that I am really into my drugstore makeup. I love things that are affordable, but I do have some higher end makeup products, and I've been accumulating more and more over the last year and a half that are not just good products, but have packaging that is just exceptional. So I went through my makeup collection and picked out the things that I love, especially for their packaging. There's something special about the packaging of all of these makeup products. Have a good mix in here. I mean, all of this is high-end. Let's just get that out of the way. When I'm talking A-list, there's nothing at the drugstore that can be packaged as nice as some of these are. There's some that come close, but nothing quite as nice as these. These are all pretty much high-end. I do have a couple that are kind of obscure, not necessarily high-end, but I also wouldn't call them drugstore. I don't want to give too much away. We'll get into it once we get to those products, but I hope that you guys are excited about it. Here what are the Tom Cruise, Scarlett Johansson, Julia Robertses of my makeup collection. That's what I have in this bin today, and we're going to get into it in a sec. Before we do, I want to give a special welcome to any new visitors to my channel. Very happy to have you here. Hope that you are enjoying this full month of nothing new. If you are, make sure that you are subscribed before you leave, and make sure those notifications are turned on so you don't miss out on any new videos that I upload. And with that said, let's get to it. Alright guys, I have my bin sitting here in front of me. There are some beautiful items inside here. I was very selective with this video. I have a lot of products that I think have really cute packaging, but these are the ones that are like, I'm almost afraid to touch them sometimes because they're so pretty. The very best of the best. So let's jump into it. I want to start with eyeshadow palettes. I'm going to start with an old favorite of mine. It is from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and it is the Jackie Aina palette. This is my favorite of the Anastasia Beverly Hills packages from her old school palettes. I love this packaging. It is so stunning. The camera doesn't do it justice. I know a lot of you own this palette or have at least seen this palette. You probably have seen in person how beautiful this is. I don't know that the iridescence of the, what is this, like a snakeskin imprint on the front. It is so pretty. I absolutely love it. I'm a big fan of Anastasia's packaging in general. I really like quite a few of her other ones. I actually don't like the velvety ones as much, but I love the Sultry palette. That's another pretty one. I really love the Riviera palette, which I just decluttered. That's another beautiful one, but none of them are quite as beautiful as this one right here. One of my prettiest palettes in my collection, and by the way, one of my favorites. I haven't used this one for a while, but it is one of my favorite of these palettes that Anastasia has come up with. Great color story, fantastic packaging. Another favorite of mine when it comes to packaging, it's not a super expensive or fancy one, but there's just something about the appeal of the outer packaging of this palette that is so beautiful to me. It's from Huda Beauty. It is the Huda Beauty Haze Obsessions palettes. I have right here the Khaki Obsessions palette. This one's my favorite of the bunch. This is so beautiful. I love this haze effect. I mean, this is another one I think you have to see in person to really appreciate how pretty the packaging of these are. You have this really like smoky looking, I mean, it literally looks like there's smoke inside of the palette there. And then on the back, this is my favorite part, you have this marbling detail that, I mean, it literally looks like marble. It's so beautiful. They feel so fancy. I love these Huda Beauty plastic packages. Ironically, I do like this palette. I like the shades inside, but I've had some issues with some of the shimmers in these Haze Obsessions palettes, which is so unfortunate because the original Huda Obsessions palettes, the black ones that are now, I believe, discontinued, those ones have some really beautiful, fantastic shimmer formulas in them, but these ones, some of them are a little strange. They can tend to hard pan. They're not quite as creamy and opaque. They're just not as good as they used to be. I don't know what she did to her shimmer formula. I just don't like it quite as much, but that said, I still will reach for this palette just for the packaging alone. I love the mattes inside as well, but man, you guys, there's just something very show-stopping about this little palette. I think it is lovely. Another eyeshadow palette that I think is beautifully packaged is from Natasha Denona. I love Natasha Denona's packaging in general, but of all the palettes of hers that I own, I think this is probably my favorite of the bunch. It is the Natasha Denona Safari palette. I'm a big fan of camo green. It's one of my favorite colors. I love the packaging of this palette. I love the detail. It's this like matte finish. It's such a pretty looking palette. I love the blush pink inside, and I do love this palette. This is one of my favorites of hers. It is a full-size palette. I happened to luck out and get mine on sale. I think I got mine for half price. I'm not even positive if this palette is available anymore. If it is, I'll link it for you guys down below. Full price, this is $129, I believe, which I think is ridiculous. I would not spend $129 on this palette, but I do really really love it, and I think the packaging is absolutely lovely. But of everything that's inside my bin today, if one product was to get the ultimate like Academy Award, say Best Picture, it would have to be this right here. It is the Pat McGrath Mothership 6 palette. I mean, look at this box alone. It is so stunning. The only package that I've ever saved the box that it comes in. But as pretty as that box is, that doesn't even compare to the palette inside. This is so incredibly beautiful. It looks expensive. It feels expensive. I mean, there is nothing in my collection that's quite like this. It is very expensive. I got mine on sale, but full price, this is another one that's obnoxiously expensive. $125 full price. But this one, more than anything, I can feel why it's that expensive just by handling it. Not to mention the shadows inside. They are really lovely, but the packaging is where this one's value, I think, really comes from. Just look how incredibly beautiful this is. The mechanism is just really, really nice. It's like 4 pounds. I mean, this thing is, you could do bicep curls with it. It's insane how heavy this is. The shadows inside are really nice. Her formulas are really, really special, really lovely. I don't know that I'll run out and buy more of her palettes because, I'm sorry, $125. Even the sale price I got this at, which I think was more around $80, is still just cringy to me. It hurts to spend that much money on an eyeshadow palette for me. But now that I have it, that I've tried it, that I've handled it, there is something extra special about this palette right here. It belongs in a museum. It's that nice. One more eyeshadow palette that I wanted to mention today. This one's a little bit more simple, but I'd say iconic. It is the Marc Jacobs Iconic palette. I got this one on sale. This is the editorial palette. It's kind of the army or neutral green tone version of these. This is a really pretty palette. It feels very fancy. I mean, it's not quite as weighty, obviously, as the Pat McGrath one. I mean, it's smaller, but it just feels very, very nice. You can tell this is a high-end product by handling it, and it's really beautiful. I don't know that I ever would have paid full price for these. I know they've been around for a while. Didn't Tati have these on display in her videos for a while? They are really lovely. I think it's a really nice looking palette. It feels very fancy, feels very high-end and luxurious, and I really do appreciate simple packaging. Like, I really like things that look kind of sleek, and this is definitely that. Very, very sleek and fancy. Speaking of Marc Jacobs, I have another item here from Marc Jacobs, and it is the Marc Jacobs Omega Bronze Tantastic Bronzer. This is a really pretty bronzer, and it does have exceptionally beautiful packaging. It was crazy expensive. I still somewhat regret purchasing this bronzer because although I think it's a really nice bronzer, it works really well for me. Bronzer is just one of those items that I have a harder time spending more than like $30 on. And this was more than $30. I think it was more like 50 or maybe even 60. I can't remember, but it felt very painful when I bought this. And this was a couple of years ago that I bought this, when I had not fallen quite so far and tried out things like this. This was one of my first very expensive items that I purchased. I bought it at Sephora. It might have been during one of their like 10 or 15% off sales, but it was still very painfully expensive. But I will admit the packaging is very, very nice. I love the mirror inside here. Well, I personally don't travel with this one super often because I'm always afraid of this breaking traveling because it was expensive. Again, I can't seem to get over that. But the mirror inside, if you are traveling, this is like the ultimate travel mirror because it stays put, so you can kind of angle it where you need it, and it's quite large. The bronzer itself is really nice. I know this is a holy grail item for a lot of people. I enjoy it. I've just always kind of felt like I should enjoy it more. Maybe it's because this is one of the first higher end, like much higher end makeup products that I ever purchased, so it was a little bit painful for me, and maybe I just still haven't quite gotten over that initial. But if we're just talking about packaging, this does have very beautiful, exceptional packaging. It is lovely. Okay, let's go through some really shiny makeup packaging. These ones I just finished buffing with my Windex, starting with Hourglass. We've got to talk about Hourglass. I love the Hourglass packaging. I'm specifically bringing out the Hourglass bronzer. This is the full-size bronzer in the shade Luminous Bronze Light. I have a mini bronzer and a mini blush that have the same packaging. They're just a little bit smaller. I also own the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Ghost palette. I actually don't like the packaging on that one quite as much. It's silver, and then it has the clear plastic bottom. I kind of wish it would have been all silver or even just the gold. I love the gold. I just think the Hourglass gold is very classic, very classy. It's another product that would look really nice sitting on top of your vanity with some of these other ones. And I do love the formula of these Hourglass powders. In my first video that I did this month, I did use the Ambient Lighting Edit Ghost palette, and I was reminded of how lovely, especially the Hourglass bronzer and blush formulas are. They're really, really beautiful on the cheeks. They almost look like a cream. They have the perfect amount of sheen to them that just looks really natural and blends perfectly into your skin. And I also just want to note not just the outside packaging and mechanism, but the actual product inside the Hourglass products are beautiful. The marbled effect, how they have that kind of domed shape, is so, so lovely. They are definitely classic, definitely A-list, at least in my book. And along those same lines, I had to feature the Patrick Ta. I have a blush and a bronzer here. I'm such a fan of these, you guys. I was surprised at how much I fell in love with these. I mean, I was a little bit hesitant to purchase these because they are a little bit more pricey. I'm always a little bit more hesitant to order things that are high end, but these are so lovely. The packaging is just something extra special, and I love the formulas inside here. I'm a big fan of creams, as you guys know, so I love that both of these give you a cream and a powder option. This one is a blush. I know it looks like a bronzer, but this is a blush. It's in the shade She's So LA. It's a very bronzy or rosy blush. I absolutely love it. It is so beautiful. I've been meaning to pick up another shade, the pink version of this blush. Again, they're pricey me. It takes a little bit of time to stock up on some of these ones that I love, but I also have been a huge fan of the bronzer. This one here is in the shade She's Sculpted. I think this is the medium shade. It works so well for me. I love it. I love the cream inside here especially. And layered together, they're just so beautiful. The formulas work great. The packaging is stunning. I love that they separate the cream from the powder with this little hinged clear thing right there. I think that's just brilliant. There's just something special about these. I love using these. The formulas are great, but the packaging makes using these like an experience. I love them so very much. Let's move on to another brand. You probably knew I couldn't do this video without talking about Charlotte Tilbury. She probably has some of the most beautifully packaged makeup products out there. Again, when I was talking about things that look really nice sitting on top of your vanity or countertop, anything from Charlotte Tilbury is going to fit into that model. Very A-list. And first I wanted to mention the Filmstar Bronze and Glow. I have the mini version. I actually think this is a pretty good value for being something so fancy and luxurious and high-end, and I don't think this is super small for a mini product. You get quite a bit of product inside here. I'm sure if you had a smaller makeup collection and you use this every single day, you could probably burn through this pretty quickly, but I have a larger makeup collection, so I like to rotate through things quite a bit, so I imagine this is going to last me a really long time, and it is just so beautiful. It actually took me a while to fall in love with this. I did mention in my most recent favorites video this contour shade right here. When I first used it, I kind of wondered if it did anything for me, but the more I've used it, the more I've come to appreciate how special of a product this is and how beautifully subtle it is. But really, just look at the packaging. I mean, I feel like nobody does packaging like Charlotte Tilbury. It is just so stunning. Very like old school Hollywood, very classic, very sophisticated, very classy. And the same would be true with this right here. This is the Hollywood Flawless Filter. Man, you guys, this stuff, I mean, even just the way it twists off of the bottle, it just feels fancy. Like the whole mechanism is really nice. The glass bottle is sturdy, the lid is sturdy. The product inside, the formula is so incredibly creamy and smooth and lovely. I absolutely love this stuff, but just look at that bottle. I mean, this just screams old Hollywood to me. If Marilyn Monroe was alive today, she would have this sitting on her countertop, I'm positive. Such a stunning bottle. This thing deserves some sort of award. I've got one more from Charlotte Tilbury. I had to talk about the JK Magic lipstick. Oh my goodness, you guys. Charlotte Tilbury's lipsticks. I mean, this is the only one that I own, but I'm pretty sure they're all beautiful. But this one especially, there is just something spectacular about this. I mean, the shape of the actual bullet is fancy. It has the Charlotte Tilbury Kiss logo in it. I love the mechanism. It feels very nice and sturdy. Incredibly stunning. Not to mention the design on this one. I know I've said many times I'm a big fan of Harry Potter, so I knew I needed to have this in my collection. It took me about a year to get a hold of this after it was released, but I'm so happy to have it. And fortunately, I do love the lipstick as well. Really nice nude color and formula for me, but man, you guys, there is just something. I mean, just look at that. It is a showstopper, is it not? Next up, I have a lip gloss that I have to give an A-list packaging award to, and it is the Fenty Gloss Bombs. I think these are so beautiful. I think Fenty has some really stunning packaging. I actually don't own a lot of products from Fenty Beauty, but every time I go into a Sephora, there's something about all of her products, her display. Everything is just packaged so beautifully. It's kind of more trendy packaging, but still very classy and stylish. I love the packaging of these. I think they are so pretty, and I really love this lip gloss formula. I actually think it's pretty affordable too, especially when you consider how much product you're getting. I know we're not really talking about that today, but knowing how expensive everything else that I'm talking about today, I wanted to mention the value of this lip gloss because I think it looks a lot more fancy and high-end than it actually is. I really love these glosses. They smell great. They feel great on the lips. They're very comfortable. They give such a beautiful amount of sheen and color. This one right here is in the shade Sweet Mouth. I have a couple of her minis as well. I think I have 4 or 5 of them. This one's more of a clear, slightly peach or pink based gloss that has kind of an icy reflect to it. It is so, so pretty. I absolutely love it. One of my very favorite glosses in my collection, and definitely the most beautifully packaged gloss that I own. So that is it for my high-end makeup with A-list packaging, but I have a couple more things I want to mention that are kind of runners-up. These are ones that maybe got a nomination but didn't quite win the Academy. Both of them are K-Beauty. They are a little bit more affordable, although a little bit hard to get your hands on, but I really love the packaging of both of these. First off is a blush. This is from the brand Etude House. This is the lovely Cookie Blusher. I don't know if these are still available. I've had mine for a couple of years now, but I just think these have the most adorable, very old school packaging that looks very vintage to me. I think it's so, so cute, and kind of a fun little sentimental story behind these. Every time Charlie is down here with me, whether I am getting ready to film a video or putting my makeup on or just cleaning up, and she's kind of tinkering around and playing in my makeup, she inevitably always pulls this specific blush out, and she'll open it up and she'll take the little puff and she'll pop it on her cheeks. Then she'll look up at me with this very fake smile on and these very bright rosy cheeks, and I just think it's the cutest thing in the world. But even the packaging of these draws her in. I don't know what it is about these specifically. I think it's probably the little bow. They do kind of look like play makeup, but they're also vintage at the same time, and I think they are just so adorable. I absolutely love them. And not just that, they're actually really nice little blushes as well. K-Beauty in general has some really fun packaging, especially when it comes to blushes. And the next product I love the packaging of is also a blush. It is my Juicy Pang water blushers. You guys know I'm a big fan of these. And I don't know that I've mentioned much how much I really love the packaging of these. I think it's so clever that they look like little nail polishes. Anytime I have someone over that doesn't watch my videos or isn't familiar with these and they're looking at my makeup, they inevitably think that these are nail polishes. And then when I explain to them that no, they're liquid blushes, their minds are blown. I just think these are so fun. Another little random thing, I actually like the way these clink together. They sit on top of my makeup desk, so they're often kind of getting bumped around, and something about that little clinking sound, which probably annoys most people, but it's something I really enjoy. It might just be because I hold these in such high esteem. You guys know how much I love my Juicy Pang water blushes. They're so incredible. And I think the packaging of these are fun and creative while still being kind of sleek and somewhat high-end feeling at the same time. And that, you guys, brings us to the end of my A-list makeup packaging. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. It was so much fun to film this one, to go through all my makeup products and pick out the things that really stood out above the rest. Let me know what you guys thought of this one. Was there anything in here that you were surprised didn't make the cut? It is possible I maybe overlooked something, because there are some things that are a little bit disorganized in here, but these are the ones that especially have my heart when it comes to packaging. I do talk a lot about affordable makeup. It's something I really value here on my channel, but I also recognize the value of things that are a little bit more luxurious and high-end and packaged a little bit more nicely, have better presentation. While it's something I don't always get behind, I recognize that having really nice packaging is kind of a different experience when it comes to applying makeup, and I get why it's such a big deal to so many people. But now I would love to hear from you guys. What is the most beautifully packaged makeup item that you own in your collection, even if it's not something high-end? There is some drugstore packaging out there that I think has really nice packaging. Let me know if that's something you guys would be maybe interested in seeing in a future video, my best packaging in drugstore makeup, because I can definitely think of a few contenders for a video like that. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you guys are enjoying my series so far. Please be sure to subscribe before you leave if you have not done that yet, and I will see all of you in my next video. Bye. I look really warm today. Something's off with my white balance. I took my camera up to my bathroom to film a couple videos yesterday, and I forgot to remember what my white balance settings were for down here in the basement, and something's off. I look very, very yellow toned. I have never once used Windex on my makeup products, but I'm gonna do it for this video, because, you know, totally reminds me of the Office episode where Dwight's talking about is it the show beats?